You don't start things and not finish them. You don't. What is up, you guys? Welcome to the podcast. Super excited to be here today, man. Of course, my intro is acting up. It's pissing me off. I'm gonna complain to StreamYard about that later. But go watch another episode if you want to see the intro. We've had some amazing guests, man. As always, this is big reptile talk. Shout out to the people that are coming in the chat. Iron Dog Reptiles, what is going on, my guy? Hanks Wildebout Herps, what's going on, my buddy? Morbid Retics, thank you for everybody that's showing up in the chat. Today, man, I'm super excited, man. We got an OG in the game. Constriction, addiction, man. Just it's crushing it, been killing it for years, man. So we're gonna bring him on, have a little fun, talk reptiles, and just pick his brain a little bit, man. How you doing today, brother?
Good, my friend. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Excited to have you here, man. Before we start, man, I'm gonna tell you, I told somebody I said I'm bringing constriction addiction to the podcast, and I'm gonna tell you what they said, and this gonna lead into the first question. They were like, "No, no, you're not." I said, "Yeah, I am," and they were like, "He's an OG in the game. That's a legend." I said, "Yeah, I agree." So my question to you is, how does that make you feel knowing that you have built such a good reputation?
It feels great. It's a lot of hard work and a lot of years to put in to make it that far. I don't recognize myself as some of that, as some of the legends and stuff that's in the game. But it's very humbling for someone to say that. It very is.
Right. Now, for the people that have been under a rock, tell them how long you've been in the game, man. How long have you been breeding?
18 years. This will be our 19th season that we've been breeding. So 19 years. It's been a long road.
So almost 20 years, man. That is insane, man. Now give me a head, tell me, why did you pick ball pythons when you were starting your career? What made you say, this is a snake, this is the way I want to go?
Well, when I first started out, I started with green tree pythons and a corn snake, and I was just buying random things, just getting used to owning snakes, because at first I was terrified of them. And so I got used to seeing how cool they were and noticed, they weren't going to kill me and all these irrational fears I had. So eventually I just got to noticing how the ball python industry was exploding. With it being the number one pet snake and all the color mutations that were coming out, I really didn't make the choice until I went to Daytona, and I saw all the different variations and stuff that was just coming out, the bumblebees and things like that. This was years ago, of course. And it kind of blew my mind that, there were so many color phases. There was so much opportunity there. And I saw a long road. A lot of people, every year people say the ball python market's dead, dying, it's over. They've been saying that for 20 years since I started. And to me, I see it thriving more than ever. So, yeah, I made the decision. I sold all the green trees. I sold everything and just went strictly into ball pythons after that trip to Daytona. That trip to Daytona is what sold me on them.
Right. That's insane, man. I love it, man. Now, tell me, and we just getting a little knowledge and we're going to have a little fun with it, but tell me, some of your favorite genes, some of your favorite morphs that you really enjoy.
Favorite genes, I really like Ultramel. Ultramel goes a long way with me. I like the Desert Ghost stuff. Desert Ghost Hypo stuff's on fire right now. Clown, of course. Clown. Pod is another favorite of mine. Puzzle's great. Love working with it. There's so many good ones out there now. Back then, we only had a few to choose from. You could really pick a favorite, but now there's so many cool genes on the market, and there's so much potential with all of them. It's hard to just pick one and go with it. You know what I mean?
Right. I got a whole bunch of favorites myself, man. Now, you've been doing this for so long, man. Almost 20 something years. That's insane, man. So I want you to, I want to pick your brain. What do you think the wave for 2023 is going to be like? What do you think are, the projects that people need to be in? What's the wave for next year?
Well, I'll be honest with you. The market's strong, as strong now as it's ever been. Sales are off the charts. They have been since COVID. The ball python industry by itself is exploding. I think we have more people in this industry. If you look at it now compared to 10 years ago, it's astronomical how much it's grown and exploded over the years. As far as what's, ball python market wise, everybody is, looking down the road at triple. It's a recessive ball game now, but everybody's looking at triple and quad recessives. To produce, we've only scratched the surface there. So it's just a lot of land of opportunity there. I think that if you're doing ball pythons, you got to be playing with recessives. You have to at this stage of the game. But as far as there's still a lot of new mutations that are on the market, or not on the market yet, but they're in private collections that have not come to light yet, that are going to make some big splashes here in the near future. So there's still some good morphs on the horizon that's coming in. And like I said, it's a recessive ball game at this point.
Right. I agree, man. Recessives is the way to go, man. Now, I want to have a little fun, man. I'm going to give you a hot seat question, man, and just have a little fun with it. To me, I feel like you're a heavy hitter, and I feel like all the heavy hitters in the game have a slogan. And what do I mean? Think about it. JKR, his slogan is the snakes of tomorrow today. Ozzy, he has shut up and breathe. Gavin, quality in, quality out. All the heavy hitters have a slogan. So what is Constriction Addiction's slogan?
Well, that's a good question. I don't think I actually have one. I had one years ago. It was "What's Your Addiction?" when we first started Constriction Addiction. I haven't updated it, changed it, or did anything with it. We've mainly changed up the logo throughout the years, and we just never really followed through with the slogan. Never did. Yeah.
I love it, man. I think everybody needs that good slogan, man. But your name speaks for itself. Now with Canova, man, they got that slogan and they just did that name change, man. Do you ever see yourself following suit and doing that name change like Canova?
Probably not. I think there's always a time to rebrand and I look at what Justin did, and I respect what he did for the reasons that he did it. I think it was a good choice for him. For us, I don't know that necessarily we'll be rebranding in the future. We may possibly. It's just something we'll have to take day by day, But as of right now, I don't really see myself rebranding in the near future.
Right. Hey, if it's not broke, don't you ain't got to fix it. Yeah,
Right.
that name is so powerful already. Constriction Addiction. When you say it, people know exactly who you are. So yeah, I get you, man. Now, we're having fun. We're getting a little knowledge. We're gonna keep it going. If somebody, this is more so for the newer breeders, kind of wanting to follow in your footsteps. What do you think is better to start with? Do you think you should start with your powerhouse male first or your powerhouse female?
Well, when you're first starting out, everybody wants adults right off the bat. Nobody wants to raise babies. I would say to stack your females and grow those for 2 or 3 years, because the females that you're going to want in your shelf, you're not going to be able to buy as adults. As far as if you're looking to build a powerful collection. If you're on a budget and you're just looking to start breeding, then maybe some lower end adults will be right up your alley. You can start breeding within 6 months. But if you want to build a solid collection and make a name for yourself and blow it up, I would say to start out with putting some powerful females on the shelf. And as you raise those up, it'll give you 18 months or so to find your powerful males. And then in 3 to 4 years, you should be able to hit the ground running with some really nice, powerful animals that will start building a reputation for yourself. You can start marketing yourself, growing your collection from that point. There's a lot of people I can think of quite a few private individuals that have done this and have built an amazing, amazing collection. And they're going to be a force to be reckoned with in a few years because of the power that they've bought for their collection. So,
Right. I agree. I definitely agree, man. Now, you got some heat over there, man. I looked at your Instagram. I want to get something for myself. I have, a ball python. I might, think about breeding something. But my question is, you got some amazing snakes over there. So tell me about a time where you had seller's remorse, where you were like, shit, I wish I wouldn't have sold that.
I've had that so many times over the years I can't count. You always end up, you don't want to sell it. The only way I found to be able to hold stuff back is if I don't show it and I don't put it on, I don't advertise it, I don't show it at all. I just put it in the rack. Because if I post a picture of it, I'll get a message, an offer, and it's it's a great offer, and you have to make that decision. Is this something that's going to stay in my holdback rack, or, is this something I'm going to cash in on? And, over the years, I wish I would have kept a lot more back. I really do. But we got through it, and we still have some good, powerful animals on the shelf. We made better animals down the road. That's always the catch-22, because you might make that powerful het this year, and then make that powerful visual the next year. But you end up keeping both of them back. Okay. And then you got to decide which one to let go. So it's a tricky game to be able to decide what to hold back and what's actually for sale. Justin's the master of that. He knows exactly what he's selling and exactly what he's keeping. But a lot of that, it all depends on how many clutches you're producing, what odds you hit, how many of them you got. All that plays into a factor of, am I going to hold this animal back?
Right. Now, if I was a breeder, man, I'd be the king of holdbacks, man. I wouldn't want to sell nothing. I'd be a horrible breeder. I'm keeping everything.
You feel that way until you get to a large collection. When you start pushing numbers and you've got, depending on your workload, how much help you have, and you have to start managing that at some point to how much you can actually balance and handle in your life. And along with that, once you get to a certain point, you're going to have to hire some help. But as long as you can manage it, absolutely hold back as much as you can.
Right. I agree. I definitely agree, man. Now with you, this is more so to motivate the new people coming into the game, man. You've been, like you said, you've been doing it so long. So my question to you is, I want to talk about doubt. And what do I mean when I say that? When you were starting out, did you have any doubt? Like, you're like, you know what, I might not be able to do this. I might not be able to turn this into a business. And if you did, what made you keep going?
Absolutely, man. I had no idea when I started that I would be successful with it, or that it would have come this far as it has. But it's a grind. It's something that you've got to really want to do. It's got to be something that you're going to be dedicated to. It's a lot of long hours. It's a lot of hard work. But I had a lot of questions along the road where I would look at myself and say, am I doing the right thing here? Should I be turning around the other direction? But we stuck with it. We got through. The beginning part is I would say the hardest part. Building the collection, getting your numbers up, getting into certain projects that you need to be in. All that's in the very first learning curve, and that's the hardest part. So once we got through that, I felt good about what I was doing, and I knew that I was in the right spot. But all the doubt that you have in the beginning, the mistakes that you make, or the projects that you get into may not pan out, or whatever the case may be, You just have to keep your head up and keep going. You can't let that affect you, because Eugene Bassett told me 20 years ago, when I was first buying my ball pythons, he says, you're always one clutch away from hitting it big. You're always 1 year away from making it. And he said, that's the best advice I can give you. He said, when you hatch that clutch and it doesn't go your way, your odds are bad, you're frustrated and disappointed. You always look forward to that next clutch. And so I've kind of applied that over the years. I try not to let things get me down. You got to stay positive. You're going to have mistakes. You're going to have ups and downs. Not every animal is made to survive. You may hit that combo you've wanted to hit for, 3 or 4 years, and it may have an incubation. You may have an incubation issue, and just not make it. You can't give up. You got to say, I'll hit it next year, and keep going.
Hell yeah. Y'all hear, man, this is knowledge, man, from a OG that's been in the game, man. I love it, man. Now, I want to give you another hot seat question, man.
Sure.
We love AEP, man. Shout out to AEP. He's doing insane stuff, selling celebrity snakes. He's football players, rock stars. He's selling everybody snakes. So my question to you, man, is if you could sell a celebrity a snake, anybody in the world, who would it be?
Oh, man. Oh, celebrity. Wow, right on the spot.
Any celebrity.
I'm gonna say Johnny Knoxville.
Oh, that'd be dope.
Johnny Knoxville, probably. Just because I watched this movie the other night. That's the first one that I come to mind. It's the first thing that comes to mind. Celebrity-wise, it would be great to sell to athletes and musicians and artists, and I think that's great. It's opening up a whole new avenue, a whole new stream for the industry. I think what he's doing is great work, and I think it's incredible to be able to do that.
Right. I love it, man. Eventually, I can't wait to see you make a celebrity sale, man. Now, like I said, man, the point of this podcast is for people to come in here, get that knowledge, and follow in your footsteps if they want to. So I want you to kind of give us some knowledge, and I want to talk about, not necessarily, I don't want to know what you make, but I want you to talk about profit-wise. And what am I talking about profits? So, like, let's say a new breeder's coming into the game. What's a good, amount of time that you should think a new breeder should have to, not necessarily be in the red, but not really make any money until they see profits? Like, how many years? What do you think a good goal is for a new breeder to set for themselves to be profitable?
I'm gonna say, with the market, if you pick the right animals, you can be profitable the very first year. There's no doubt about that. I think when I look at an investment, I look at 5 to 7 years on an investment. I think that's logical. I think that gives you room to breathe. Sometimes we knock it out of the park the first year. Some years it takes us 2 or 3 years to profit off of a project. But another reason is, I say 5 to 7 years, is because if it's not a co-dominant animal, even if it is a co-dominant animal, you're breeding it into something to turn around and breed it into something else. And that takes time. You're looking at 3 years to raise an animal. So what I mean is, if you made triple hets today, you can't breed those for 3 years, right? So if you go out today and you buy your clown pod and your desert ghost, you've got 3 years to raise those. That's your investment. 3 years to raise those. You've got to breed those together. Then you got 3 more years, 6 months of incubation. You're looking at 7 years if you hit it on the first clutch. So there's not really a time limit that you could really put on an investment. That's what I mean by you got to be in it for the long haul, because a lot of times those investments don't pay off for years, and you got to be able to stick with them. You can't give up on them. That's a lot of feeding and cleaning for 7 years. for one project. So you really got to be dedicated and be in it for the long haul, and you'll be profitable on the big end. You'll definitely be profitable. It just depends on a lot of that's variable on road you take. You know, everybody takes their own road. Justin says it best.
I love it, man.
Yep, everybody takes their own road. So depending on what path they choose, the circumstances will change for us.
Right. Totally makes sense, man. Now, give us an idea, give us a little sneak peek, man. What are some of the current projects you're working on right now?
Oh, man. A lot of triple recessive, quad recessive stuff is in the mix, making those hets, putting them on the shelf. Hypo desert, we're working on what am I currently producing or what am I looking forward towards the future?
No, what you working on right now?
Oh, right now, I hope to hit some, like hypo ultramel clowns this year with some codoms mixed into it. Some hypo ultramel puzzles. We missed on those last year, so I hope to hit those this year. I've got see here, a lot of the acid ultramel stuff. I got a lot of that stuff coming this year. The acid DG stuff was phenomenal that we produced last year, so we definitely did some more of that this year. The acid DG stuff's amazing. I think DG hypo stuff is probably one of the hottest morphs out right now. People are just that stuff's on fire. I'm making obviously 4 and 5 gene recessive hets for down the road. We are putting together. We took a big part of our production this year just to make those triple quad and 5 gene hets for down the road. So that's going to take a little bit out of our production. It's going to create a lot more mouths to feed, a lot of holdbacks. So we're going to have to gear up for that. But we're following the same suit as the industry. We do have a few projects that are outside the box that we're working on, and we hope to show in the near future.
Right.
For the most part, just I really like working with the ultramel and the DG stuff.
So is that like the morph you want Constriction Addiction to be known for, the DG and the ultramel stuff?
Well, it all mixes together. It all goes together. It's not. I wouldn't say one specific morph would be known for Constriction Addiction. I think we just want to produce a variety of animals that are beautiful and quality, and that people love and they feel comfortable investing in. It's all about the customer as opposed to us. I can think this animal is beautiful all day long, but if that customer doesn't think so, it's not their cup of tea. You're not going to make that sale.
Right. But even still, man, and it's no disrespect to you, but you got the if I was you and I'm Constriction Addiction, you got to have that custom morph, because you think about like Ozzy, Orange Dream, Kabelka, he did the Batman. You gotta come up with, like, I got that Strawberry Crunch, some new shit that nobody got.
Well, yeah, scaleless was our big thing there for a while. That's what we were known for, pretty heavy. The ultramel stuff, our ultramel stuff, we're known for. We have a great line of ultramel. So those are two things that Constriction Addiction is kind of known for. That's been built over the years, but yeah, for the most part.
I love those scaleless ball pythons, man. They're amazing. They're gorgeous.
Yeah, they're neat. They are a different animal. They take a lot of different care. Sometimes we've got to the point where we're keeping them the same way as all of our other animals. They just require more attention. You got to make sure you get the sheds off of them. You just want to make sure that they're doing well. They require a lot of attention, but for the most part, they were an extremely neat animal that had an amazing amount of potential.
I love them, man.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, you've been in the game so long, man. So give us some of that knowledge, man. What do you think is best, man? Are you old school or are you new school? And when I say that, are you palpating or are you using the ultrasound?
Well, my first 10 years that I bred snakes, I didn't use an ultrasound. I palpated. I palpated everything. Everybody had ultrasounds but me. I felt like I was the only kid on the block that did an ultrasound. So I learned very well to be very in tune with my animals, to be able to watch the building, the swelling, the palpating, the hormonal glows. So I learned all that very, very early on. Um, but I do have an ultrasound. Once you have X amount of animals, um, it's almost you almost have to have an ultrasound because you have that many animals, and it's to go through and palpate every single one is tough. It's tough. So you almost need an ultrasound once your collection goes to a certain size.
So you saying you're using that ultrasound, but don't get it twisted. You know how to palpate.
That's right.
You know how
That's
to
right.
get in there and get them roll them sleeves up and do what you got to do if that machine wasn't working.
That's right. A lot of times, if I've just fed a female or sometimes when they're in shed, that ultrasound won't pick them up. We still got to palpate them. We'll still palpate them, fill those follicles, and keep on moving.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now I wanna talk a little bit about some controversy, man. We'll talk about two subjects, man, and egg cutting. Are you for it? Are you against it? And if you're for it, why do you think that it's so frowned upon in the hobby?
I think as long as you let the first one pip, there's nothing wrong with cutting the rest of them. As far as cutting them, back in the day, man, there was guys that were cutting on day like 41. Yeah, they were cutting that early, and it was just insane not to be able to wait on those animals to hatch. But we've always let the first one pip, and then we'll cut the rest of them. Usually, we just want to make sure they get out of that egg, as easily as possible. But I don't see any reason to cut those eggs super early. I don't.
Right.
I think you're asking for trouble when you're doing that, in my opinion.
Right. Well, you're getting that knowledge, man. So now I gotta excuse me. I want to ask this because I've seen it on another podcast. I want to talk about nidovirus. And when I say that, my question to you is: you've been in the game for so long. How do you protect yourself, from accusations? You got to think about it. Like over these past couple months, and this is no disrespect to them, but I seen that Bob. I want to say Clark. I think he got accused of selling stuff that had nidovirus. I watched the podcast. I want to say I watched MJ's podcast, and they were talking about somebody had accused Mutation Creation of doing it, and it's no diss towards them. They just were accused of it. So my question to you is, how do you protect yourself from people, accusing you of that?
Well, I only buy animals from certain people. But I learned a long time ago, you get what you pay for, especially in ball pythons. You got to buy from quality people that you trust, that you can depend on, that is going to be there to back that animal if something goes wrong. And usually if there's smoke, there's fire. You know what I mean? Bob's had a lot of smoke around him over the years. So it doesn't really surprise me that he's having the trouble that he's having. But honestly, if you just buy from people who have a great reputation, you can't. If you're selling snakes for 20 years and you've never had an issue and you've never had a complaint, you're doing something right. And I think if you just surround yourself with the good people in the industry, the ones that have built a reputation and built a name, I don't think you'll ever have anything to worry about.
I love that. That's an excellent answer, man. With you selling amazing stuff, so I don't ever see that happening with you, man. Now I want to give you another hot seat question, man.
Okay.
You've been in the game for 20 plus years, but let's say, Lord forbid, let's say constriction addiction wasn't around and you needed a job. There's only 3 jobs in the world. Where you going and why? And we love everybody. We're not dissing nobody. We love. There's Cabelka, Ozzy, or Balls to You. Where you going?
To work?
Yep. Where you working at?
Oh man, I would work for any of those guys, man. Those are all great people.
So you say you just rotate through all of them. You won't work in one spot.
I would work for any of them. They're all great people. They're all great guys. I've known them all for 18 years. Well, you said Gavin?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gavin's the only one I haven't. I've met him in Tinley a couple times, but I've known Ozzy and Justin for probably 18 years. So I would easily go to work for any of those guys. And Gavin's a great guy too. I would go to work for him as well. So
I like how you got out of that. He's like, I work for all of them. I ain't picking one. I love it, man. I love it, man. Now you've been in the game so long. I'm kind of curious. Who taught you the game? Who was your mentor, or do you feel like you were self-taught?
Man, we didn't have mentors back then. We had to figure it out on our own. You either figured it out or you died. There was no help. There was very little, very little books out there. I think Tracy had one out. Tracy Barker had one out, but information was very slim. You could only find like Marcus Jane's ball python breeding sheet, and I think Will Banks had one as well, and that was it. You had those two sheets, those two pieces of information, and that was it. Everything else you had to figure out on your own. And so we did. We beat our heads against the wall. We worked hard on it. Me and my wife, we worked hard on it and got it right and got it rolling. So I would say self-taught mostly. As far as mentors, I tend to pick up a little piece of information from everybody that I meet, and I apply that. I'll learn something new from every person that you ever come in contact with. You take that little piece of information and you apply it to what you do and you keep moving. You know what I mean? And so I would say that, anybody that I've dealt with over the years, I appreciate any insight or input that they've helped me with. And so I'd say I learn a little bit from everybody.
Right. I love it, man. I love it. Now, with you having so much knowledge, man, do you feel like when you were when you did first start, do you feel like when you had questions, people were there to answer them, or do you feel like everybody was kind of like closed mouths, or do you feel like people were like welcoming and did give you a little info if you needed it?
The new breeders that this day and age, they've got it made. They've got all the information on YouTube. They've got it on Google, Facebook. They've got all this truckloads of information out there for them to be successful. Back then, everybody was hush hush. Nobody would really help you unless you invested a chunk of money with them.
Oh wow!
You invested a chunk of money with them. They would be there to help you, but they wouldn't be there like we're there for our customers today. They would answer a few questions, and that was about it. With the way everything is today, these new guys have got it made for sure.
Right. It's so much knowledge out there, and most people answer DM, but it ain't like back in the day. You didn't have Instagrams where you could message somebody and be like, "What's this morph real quick?" and they could shoot you an answer. But now it's a lot easier. You're saying,
right? Yeah, it's 100 times easier this day and age than it was 15 years ago. The information that's out there between Facebook and Google and YouTube. You can look up anything. You can instantly, you can go to YouTube and search respiratory infection and pull up, 50 videos on respiratory infection. We didn't have none of that back then. So if you've ever got a problem or anything, you can Google it, you can YouTube it. You know exactly what to do. There's advice there for you. There's help there for you. And so it's definitely a much different time. And everybody has the tools and the information to be successful at this.
I love it, man. I love it, man. Now, you crushing it, man. You've been killing it for years, man. So kind of give me your idea. What do you think, the number one reason new breeders don't make it in the game is?
They give up. A lot of people get into this thinking they're going to make quick money. They see some sales at a show and they think I can do this, no problem. they start to get some number of animals. They start realizing how much care it is, how much work it is, how much upkeep. They get discouraged because what they purchased it may not be worth what they thought it would be by the time they sell it or produce it. But for the most part, it depends on the individual. If you fail, try again. You just got to be hard-headed and keep going. You can't stop. You just got to learn from your mistakes, keep going, and keep your head in the game.
Right. I definitely agree with you, man. Consistency is key. Now, do you think, because there's so many problems that you could come across when you're breeding, so give us a little advice. You want to make the best out of every clutch you have. What are some of the tricks that you use or some of the tips that you have, to reduce slugs? Because you want to get, as many snakes as you possibly can out of each clutch.
Right. Slugs. Oh, man. Avoiding slugs. Make sure your temps aren't too hot. Make sure your girls are fed very well. Try to keep your males on food as long as you possibly can during breeding season. Try not to spread your males to too many girls. Try to keep them to a decent number of females. Make sure you're getting good fertility there. If you've got those things down pat, and if you pretty much got it made. If you can handle those things.
Right. I love it, man. That's the key, man. With you, man, I gotta know, what do you think, some of really that you already answered. That's really some of the best advice you can give to the new breeders, man. So we'll go to another hot seat question. You and your wife, you've been in the game so long. So my question to you is, I'm gonna mess around and get you in trouble. Have you ever, wanted something for a project and told your wife it was 400 and it might have been like 1,000 and she didn't know about it?
No, not that far. Me and her have always, done it differently. She's, she would pull projects in that maybe I overlooked over the years. Years ago when the co-dominant desert was around, she was talking about desert ghost stuff, and I just kind of just blew it off. So I ended up bringing some desert ghost stuff in for her, and it was a really good decision. Obviously, desert ghost paid off, and so little things like that. She has her projects, and I have mine, so it works out well, in the end for us. But
so you
as
never
far as
so you never really fib. She's always really been heavily involved, so you never really had to fib about a project.
right, she's always been heavily involved. Yes, since day one. That's the reason I got into this, was because she had a pet ball python.
No way.
That's what kind of got me started into it, and started going to reptile shows and pet stores, and it just kind of snowballed and escalated into a business. So,
right. We talk now, since we're talking about pet shows too, man. We love the reptile expos, man. But being in the game so long, you've seen the emergence of morph market. What's your thoughts on morph market, and do you ever see morph market kind of pushing reptile expos to the side or overtaking them?
I think morph market is probably the greatest tool that we have seen since the beginning of the reptile industry. It brought stability to the market. It created a market for us, because when king snake went down and before morph market was brought out, it was like the wild, wild west. Prices were everywhere, up, down. It was crazy. So morph market brought stability to the market. What John's done with that website, my hat's off to him. What he's done with it is incredible. It's an exceptional tool for us to be able to sell animals. I love the shows. I love interacting with people. I was actually going to ramp up my show schedule and do a few more shows this upcoming season. But online, it's hard to, online is king in my opinion. The sales online are just extremely strong right now. They have been since COVID, and so you definitely have to have an online presence in this industry.
Now with you being a heavyweight on Morph Market, do you feel like even the smaller people should be on Morph Market too?
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody should be on Morph Market. It helps build your name. It's free advertisement. Well, it's not free advertisement, but it's advertisement. You're able to put out there what you're producing, and build connections with people. You're going to connect with people on Morph Market that you would have never connected with just posting on your Facebook or Instagram page. I think Morph Market. I think at this point you have to have Morph Market. Absolutely.
Right. I feel you, man. That makes total sense, man. I love it, man. I love it, man. Now, I was watching the podcast the other day with you, and you were talking about, one of the biggest clutch years you had was like 280 something clutches, which was insane, man.
Yeah.
Talk about your mental, how did that, how were you feeling when you had that amount of clutches, and do you feel like you'll ever do it again? Or are you feel like it's better, cutting your collection down and trying to focus on certain stuff?
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier in the podcast. It's all in how much you can manage. For me and Britt, um, I don't think we'll ever do 287 again. I think that was too much for us. It was a handful. It was a lot of long days, a lot of long hours. For us, I like a smaller collection, a more focused collection on higher end animals. I think I think it's the right way to go. I think if you're driving yourself crazy with a large collection and you're beating your head against the wall, you're going to get burnt out really quick on this. It gets stressful. It's not a lot of fun. And it'll burn you out real quick on it, especially even a new guy, it'll burn them out. So I would say to keep something that you can manage in a reasonable amount of time. Animals that you enjoy working with, stuff that you want to see when you open that tub. Go with the morphs that you want to go with. And I think if you can stay in between those two lines, I think you'll enjoy it for many years to come.
Yeah, I agree, man. I think that passion too is something. Do you feel like you still have that same passion and hunger today that you had almost 20 years ago?
I'll be honest with you. There's nothing like cutting those first pods. There's nothing like that feeling, man. It's hard to get that feeling back, but when you have those really one of a kind clutches that you have worked on for 3, 5, 6, 7 years, yeah, you still get that feeling like a little kid on Christmas morning cutting those eggs. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love it, man. I love it. Now, and I won't keep you too long. I like to go about 45 minutes to an hour. So just a few more questions. Thank you so much for hanging out with us
Yeah,
and
sure.
giving us knowledge. Now, what do you think is the best to go with, for like a new breeder coming into the game? They're looking to get an incubator. Do you think it's better to go store-bought, or do you think it's better to try and make one if you can?
I would say make them. I've seen a lot of those. I haven't heard too many good things about some of the store-bought incubators. I know some people use them and don't have a problem, and then I've had other people, that have had some problems out of them. My opinion, I would build your own. That's what we did here. We built our own, the stand-up deep freezers or the sliding glass doors. The old drink machines. We took those and converted those into incubators, and they have been just wonderful. Never had one fail. I've been using them for 15 years. I can't say enough about them. So I
I
would say,
love.
yeah, I would say build your own. Absolutely.
I can, I'm terrible at building. If I build one, I'd end up burning my damn house down. Man, you have so much knowledge, man. Do you ever see yourself, starting like a Patreon or getting back involved with your YouTube and just giving that knowledge out?
I love the YouTube. I hate that I didn't get to do more of it, that I don't get to do more of it. I would really like to get back to YouTube, but between managing the collection, we do our own rodents as well, breeding our own rodents, and then I like to have a little time to spend with my family, so I'm not, beating my head against the wall. It's hard for me to find time to do that YouTube stuff. But in the near future, I would like to get back on YouTube and start doing some of that stuff. Um, so we have plans for that down the road if we can ever manage our time a little better.
Don't do YouTube. Do a Patreon, man. You got to charge these folks for that knowledge, man.
Yeah, there's some good Patreons out there. Justin's got his and Ozzy's got his. I don't know that I could add anything that those guys are not already putting out there. There's some great information in their Patreons, and my hat's off to them. So I don't know if it would really be beneficial for me to start a Patreon,
I think it would. You got a lot of knowledge, man.
I've got a lot of experience. It's been a long road. There's not a problem that I probably haven't come across or dealt with at some point in my time. We've produced a lot of animals, and it's been a good road, but it's been a long road.
Right. Hell yeah. Now I am curious, man, because you got so many people. Have you ever visited JKR's facility?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, I'm jealous, man. That's the holy grail right there, man.
Yeah. It's definitely a nice place, and I visited his old place quite a bit, and he's definitely set the bar higher than can be attained for sure.
Right now you to me, I feel like you are just crushing it, in the ball python game. Do you ever see yourself, getting into some other, even like venomous? Do you ever see yourself crossing over to doing other stuff?
I did venomous for a few years before I had my kids. Once I had my kids, I got rid of all my venomous stuff. But white-lipped tree vipers, eyelash vipers, gaboon vipers, canebrake rattlesnakes. We were field herping multiple times a week, catching canebrakes. We have a healthy population of canebrakes and copperheads here. So we were doing a lot of road cruising, a lot of field herping. Like I said, I've done a lot in my time. Since I've started messing with reptiles, we've done a lot.
That's insane. He did venomous. He crushing it with the ball pythons. That's insane, man. I'm jealous, man. Like, how does it feel being able to just wake up and you working with your passion, man? You don't have to go work and you working with your passion every day. Don't that feel good?
It does. It definitely has its perks to be a ball python breeder, and there's always drawbacks to being a ball python breeder. But it goes back to how much dedication do you have in your heart, and is it something that you really truly want to do?
Right. I feel you. Now, before we get out of here, man, I appreciate you. You gave us almost an amazing hour. My question to you is, if you could do it all over again, would you?
If I could do it all over again, would I do it again? Yes, absolutely.
Hell absolutely. Yeah, that's a good answer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Mr. D, man, you gave us an amazing hour, man. I just want to say thank you for coming on and talking reptiles with us. Thank you so much, man.
Absolutely, man. I appreciate you having me on.
You have an amazing night. Thank you again, sir.
You too, buddy. Take care.
Thank you. How awesome was that, man? Constriction addiction, man. Crushing it in the game, man. If you into ball pythons, you know who he is. He's been around for almost 20 plus years, making some insane snakes. He gave us hi, Yox 2 times reptiles. Joe, I'm late. I didn't want to hold him up too long because he has an insane collection. He's got hundreds of animals, man, but just an amazing guy, genuine, down to earth. A great podcast, man. We talk snakes. We had a little bit of fun, man. I appreciate everybody watching. If you're still here, go over to My Animal House. He has an amazing podcast. He brings people on and talk to them. I'm super pissed because my intro didn't work. It's still not working. Let me see. I'll try it. StreamYard.
You don't start things and not finish them.
Look at that. It's fucking freezing. I wanted to look super professional for constriction addiction. My shit just looked horrible, but he's a super good guy, man. I appreciate him. Yox 2 times reptiles is laughing. Yeah, my shit freezing up. I don't even know why. Look at this shit, y'all. Yo, look at
You don't start things and not finish them. You don't quit. There's nothing that comes.
Oh, StreamYard is getting a firmly written letter, or I'm gonna have my wife call him and cuss him out. Anyways, man, just an amazing podcast, man. He's a genuine dude, down to earth, and I appreciate him doing that for me. We're getting ready to go. Until next time, man. This is Big Reptile Talk. We out of here.